Uh, Today, we're going to finish up chapter 13, and we're really just going to be concentrating on the last three verses. We'll be talking about the mark of the beast today. It's a hot button topic. It's a topic that is exciting in a lot of ways, if that is a kind of twisted word for that, but the world gets excited about the mark of the beast. They make movies about it, and it becomes a conspiracy theory idea and all kinds of stuff. But the mark of the beast is real, and it's in the Bible, and we're going to talk about it today and how it's going to change society, how they're going to implement this thing. And I'm looking forward to a lot of input. I know pretty much everybody knows something on this subject, and if you've got something that's really interesting, I feel free to share. We're going to read verse number 16, 17, and 18. The Bible says in Revelation 13, beginning with verse 16, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, threescore, and six." 6, 6, 6. The very mention of that combination of numbers gives people the willies. In my younger years, when I used to work as a cashier, I remember on numerous occasions that someone's total would come up to $6.66, and they would grab a pack of gum or something and add it to her order just so their total bill would not be that. There's been a series of movies and films, Omen, and Damien, Omen 2, that concentrated about the number of the beast. Yes, ma'am, Paula.
My mom had a telephone number with 666 in it, and one of my friends would never call.
Oh, I tell you what, if the phone company tried to give me that phone number, I wouldn't take it. I'd say, you can just give me another one. Give me 667. But, you know, we know a lot about that number. We know a lot about what supposedly goes with that number. And a lot of it is based on truth. A lot of it's based on just total garbage and total fiction. I remember I had a kid. It was when the Omen movies came out. That's how old they were. I think I was like in third grade. And there was a kid that I went to school with. His name was Brent Jones, I believe. Or Todd Jones, one of those two. He was a Jones boy. And he was a weird kid. You know, you got those kids at school, they're just weird kids. And I'm sorry, I know that's probably unpastor-like, but we all know that there's just weird kids. And he would try to convince everyone that he had the mark of the beast in his hair. You know, that he was the Antichrist. That's what he was trying to say. You know, he was like third grade. But he gave you the willies. You know, you look at this kid, you thought, hey, this kid really could be, you know. But the mark of the beast has been advertised, it's been televised, it's been promoted, it's been fantasized. And there's some common misunderstandings about the mark of the beast because of Hollywood. And you know, if your grocery bill comes up to $6.66, it's not a big deal. That's not accepting the mark or anything like that, you know. If your phone number is 666, even though I wouldn't want that phone number, you know, I would probably be okay to take it. Yes, sir.
I lived in a house for like years and the address was 666.
Yeah, that house, when I saw that house, that would be the one I just drove by. But, you know, really, that's just superstition. 666 is just a series of numbers in our life today. But the reason it's superstition, the reason it's so spooky and stuff is because it comes from the Bible, and it comes from a portion of the Bible that's talking about the worst part of human history that's ever going to happen. You know, we've had some bad stuff happen. You know, we've had Holocaust, we've had, you know, things where there've been total destruction. We've had tsunamis, earthquakes. But the tribulation, and particularly the Great Tribulation, the second half of it, is going to have all that and more. And then on top of that, it's going to have this universal, and by I mean universal, this worldwide control system in place known as the mark of the beast. Now, let's look at what the Bible says about the mark right here, just in Revelations. Let's look really. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So we're told a couple things right here in this text, that everyone is going to be required to receive this. This is not going to be something that the rich and famous get out of. This isn't going to be something that is only for poor people. This isn't something that's going to be political or a class thing. Everyone across the board, rich, free, bond, poor, are going to be forced to accept this mark. And it tells us where this mark is going to take place. It's going to be either in their forehead or in their right hand. So, when Todd or Brent or whatever his name was trying to tell me that his mark was in, you know, the scalp, that's not biblical. You know, I've seen guys walk around with 666 tattoos on their arm underneath the tribal band. I guess they thought they were being cool or something. It just looks stupid, but that's not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is going to be something that is going to be universal. It's going to be something that is implanted in your body. Okay, now, there's a lot of things out there that are scary with technology. A lot of it's great, but there's a lot of scary things. Now, I'm going to go back in history just a little bit here and kind of give you evolution, if you will, of the technology that will make this mark of the beast possible. Because let me tell you, folks, the technology is here, and we're going to get into that. But some of you older folks, older than me, will remember the days of going to the grocery store when everything had a little white sticker on it with a price. And you went to the cashier, and the cashier had to punch everything in by hand. Well, around 1978, there was a company that came up with a construct idea of what is called the Universal Product Code. We know it as a UPC. And it was a series of bars that had numerical meaning that identified certain products numerically. And with the advent of the laser that was able to read this barcode, all of a sudden now you could just print one barcode on your product. You wouldn't have to stamp prices on them. You could go through the scanner. The computer in the register would read the barcode, the universal product code, would register that this product is this thing and the cost. It revolutionized the grocery business. Now I began working for Thriftway in 1986. Okay? When I started working for Thriftway, the UPCs were already in existence, but they weren't on everything. I know that doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but in 1986, there were still things that did not have a universal product code on it. I know because there were Sundays that our night crew there would have to reprice stuff because the prices would change. And we used to, instead of using stickers, Thriftway was cheap, so they got stampers with ink. And so if you were the unlucky guy that worked in the can aisle and you know, those little tomato sauces that like 6 million of them are on the shelf went from 19 cents to 21 cents, you had to take ink removal and remove the ink off all the top of those and then restamp them. Now, for those of you that are in retail, if you do price changes at a grocery store now, all you have to do is change the tag on a shelf, and you can do a whole store in 6-7 hours. Back in the day, and that's one guy, back in the day, it used to take the night crew at the Thriftway down here in Blue Ash that used to be here, it would take 5 guys 8 hours apiece to do price changes. because not everything had a universal product code. Go ahead, Josh.
My dad had a country store, and there was open pricing standard. If you had something on the shelf, you could not raise the price till you sold the product. Now today, you punch the gas pump, if somebody kicks a can of oil over in Texas, and you raise the price 20 or 30 cents.
You know what? This is true. I know this is chasing a rabbit, but I was at a gas station pumping gas the other day, and I was paying $3.43 a gallon. Well, I got there just as they were getting ready to change the price. So I'm pumping gas at $3.43, and I see the thing go to $3.49 while I'm pumping gas. Now, mine still paid $3.43, but it was that quick. Every pump changed. And that's just the world we live in. It's technology is a wonderful thing. You know, Brother Gary back there, he streams this. You know, anybody in the world can punch up missionbaptistblueash.org and hear what I'm doing today. I mean, it'll take a couple days to get on there. I mean, we're not live at this church, but there's a lot of places that are live. They have live streaming. They could be listening to what I'm saying in Zimbabwe right now. Technology is a wonderful thing, but the devil is going to find use for it, and it's in the Bible here. So I don't want anyone to be scared of technology, okay? But yeah, Cliff's holding up
Three or four years ago, Brother AJ had I remember how long it's been. I know it's probably 5 years. Had a barcode lesson for us.
Oh.
He gave us all one of these barcode.
It's on everything.
Well, let me say this.
Go ahead, brother.
Yesterday, we went to the grocery and I wanted to get tomatoes. And so they had the tomatoes stacked up in like 3 boxes. And that was probably the price. And one price said organic tomatoes and something else, $3 or something a pound. Slicing tomatoes, $1.49. Well, I want something I could put on a hamburger. Slicing tomatoes. But they all look the same to me.
Right.
So I didn't want to buy the tomatoes because they all look the same. I didn't want to get the cash register and say, well, that's $3 or something.
Right.
So I went and hung me up a person, but I got the barcode numbers before I went to talk to the person. And I told him, I said, over here in this tomato aisle, you got tomatoes, but they all look the same, but they got 2 signs up there, 2 different prices. I want to know which one I'm buying before I pick these tomatoes out, you know. So he came out and he said, well, they're all the same, they're all slicing tomatoes. Whoever was doing the produce, they sold it out of the package, organic, they didn't turn the sign around, you know. So I said, hey, that thing come in, I mean, barcodes come in handy.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, like I said, I've worked at a grocery store most of my life. I got a bottle of water here, and the barcode on this is 04149811227 and then 1. 0 and the 1 just identify that it's a grocery product. The computer is going to read that entire barcode and it's going to recognize that this is pure aqua purified water. Now, as a human, I can't read those lines and dashes. So they put the numbers underneath it, and you know, that's what you do when you going on a price check. If you were a bagger and someone had something, they said, well, no, the sign said that was $1.99. The kid takes the product back, and you know, products look the same. So you can't go by looks anymore. So you teach the kid, you turn it over the back, and you match the last 3 numbers, 227, because this size would be 227, the 24 ounce would be 228. You know, so what happens if something's in the wrong place? The last 3 numbers, it's a way you check to see if you know, you're on the right product. But the technology is amazing. But this universal product code was really, this is like the grandfather, if you will, of what the mark of the beast is. It's the same idea. Okay? Now, there's a lot of books and stuff out there. There's a lot of things. Brother Tony loaned me this book. It's called Project Lucid. And it's by a guy named Tex, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, Tex Mars. And Project Lucid was something that came out in the 90s, the early part of the 90s. And it had a lot of ideas on how to take the technology involved in the universal product codes and make them an everyday life thing. You get healthcare, public records, things like that. And a lot of this stuff is actually in the system now. But there, there's a thing called ISO 9000, ISO 9000. If you ever worked in a manufacturing plant, a lot of manufacturing plants are ISO certified. This all is same to the thing, because math is a language. I don't know if you guys knew that. Math is a language. And I have no problem speaking English, so I know I'm going to have a problem speaking math. But math is language, and computers speak in math. Go ahead, Sadie.
Somebody told me that on the barcodes,
Uh-huh.
that the two little skinny lines at the very end, and the ones right in the middle that are just a little bit longer than everything else,
Uh-huh.
is the 666, and those have to actually be on there for the computer to.
I have heard that. I can't verify or deny it. The time I asked somebody about it, they laughed at me and told me that's urban legend, but it very well could be. That's the crazy thing about the system we live in. They know it's all, everybody knows it's here. We know that we live in the day and the age when the technology is here to do it. But no one wants to take anything there because they don't want to scare people. Like I said, with this particular lesson, with this particular subject, you've got to take pretty much everything with a grain of salt. Because you can see the devil under every rock. You can see the devil in every shadow. You can see the end of the world coming in everything you look at if you want to. The important thing we have to realize is when all this stuff actually rolls out and affects our lives, we're going to be gone. Church is going to be raptured out. But this is just so you guys know. Go ahead, Tony.
I heard an interesting statistic on the news the other day. Your cell phones, iPads, there's more of them in the world than there are people today.
Oh, yeah.
More technology out there in the whole world than there are people.
Well, we live in a techno world. Everything you do is going to have technology. I mean, the pastor had to come and do technology. He sends emails and stuff now. 10 years ago, he'd have fought that tooth and nail. But technology here, so we like I said, I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want us to become, hermits living in, caves in South Dakota with tinfoil on our heads so the government can't track you. I mean, maybe that's not necessarily a bad idea, but the fact of the matter is that this stuff that you see happening, it's happening for a reason and it happens for a purpose. And the Bible tells us that the devil is going to use this wonderful technology to control the world. Now let's go back to the text. Verse number 16 says, He causeth both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark. Now, a couple other things I want to bring out about the technology and things. I have in my wallet here two kind of identification cards. This is from Claremont County. It is my Ohio license to carry a concealed handgun permit. This is my Ohio driver's license. Both of them have a picture of a very good-looking guy. They both have my address and things on my date of birth. You have a license number on both of them. The difference in these two permits are this. This is issued by the county, and it's basically just a picture and a card. If I'm driving down the road and I get pulled over by a police officer, he runs my license plates, he knows that this is attached to me. I can get in trouble, even if I'm not carrying a gun, if I don't tell him, hey, I'm a concealed carry holder. Because obviously for the safety of the officer, they want to know when they approach a vehicle if there's a gun in the car. But they have to physically run the numbers and stuff. Now this driver's license is a little different now. Back years ago, driver's license was the same idea, but now you see there's a little magnetic strip on the back here, and then there's binary code right here. This is a UPC. This is the UPC for my identification, okay? They don't have to physically punch my numbers in now. Now they just swipe my driver's license and the information is contained in this magnetic strip, okay? It's a great thing. It makes it twice as easy, twice as fast, but it's a little scary. It's a little scary. Now, furthermore, some driver's licenses in some states are now have what is called an RFID chip implanted in the license. I'm not 100% sure if Ohio has gone that way yet. I know California does. I believe New York does. And that chip inside there is a radio frequency chip. And the technology is there is that if they want to know where Tim Raines is, satellite beams down the signal, and the GPS in the driver's license tells them where Tim Raines is. I said that to say this: everything about your life today in 2013 can be monitored. All right? Now, like I said, I know we got a couple visitors here. I don't want to scare people. This isn't what this church is about, but this is part of the Revelation lesson, so we're just going on while we're there. But the technology's here. People wonder sometimes, I imagine when John wrote this. Now remember, John wrote this about 101 AD. When John wrote this, the people he wrote it to, the original churches, those churches in Asia that he sent this letter to, they could not comprehend how one man could control the world. Well, if we open our eyes, it's here. But Bob, did I see your hand over here?
I was going to say, you never hear anymore of people having fake IDs anymore. They can't do.
No, you can't duplicate a fake ID because it has a universal transponder code. We all have cell phones. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. A cell phone has a GPS built in it. If you ever watch NCIS, it's like the best TV show on TV. Anytime someone breaks the law on NCIS, Abby and Tim are tracking where they are by their cell phone. They triangulate their location. That's not fiction, folks. That's reality. I told you the story about Vicki and I going to the little cupcake shop on State Route 131. Okay, we didn't log on. We didn't sign up for anything. We went in there and bought a couple cupcakes and left. The next day, a Facebook advertisement pops up on Vicki's phone about the cupcake shop we were in yesterday, offering coupons. We didn't sign up for anything. Facebook tracked where she was, knew the location where she was, and that's the marketing thing. So, if you ever want to go someplace and not know where anyone, you got to leave this at home. Okay? You got to leave this at home. So anyway, that's the evolution. We started with the universal product code. Revolutionized the grocery business. Everybody, it's commonplace. I'm surprised it's not on these books. It's on this book. This book's, like I said, was written in the early 90s. It's not on this book, but, it revolutionized, made things faster, made it easier, made inventory a lot easier. I tell you what, we have what's called scan-based receiving now. And what that used to be is, and it's actually taking jobs away eventually, but you have a receiving clerk, and when like Pepsi or Frito-Lay would come in the back door, they would have to manually check their orders. Well, they don't have to do that anymore because a lot of companies have gone what they call scan-based. The register tracks inventory via the UPC. They just bring it in. We have the register keeps track of what goes in and goes out. I mean, it's amazing. But it's all setting up for what is to come. That no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we've got the UPC. We've got them tracking our driver's license. We've got them on cell phones. Now we got these little things, I don't know what they're called, that you can use your cell phone to scan the website. I think we even have it on our bulletin. Very, very fascinating thing. But the technology is here. Everything is binary. Everything is numeric. So when the number of the beast being 666, that's going to be part of your number. That's the reason, Cindy, that rumor of the 666 being the UPC code is there, because that will be required as part of your identification. So we went from UPCs, we went to driver's license, now your universal health care that's rolling out with the Affordable Care Act. You are going to be assigned a number that is going to correspond to your account, And the IRS, why the IRS, I don't know, but the IRS and any government agency at once will be able to pull your number up and look at all your medical records, which until this year have always been private and sealed. They're going to know what medicines you're taking, how often you're refilling prescriptions. If you go to the doctor for something personal and private, the IRS is going to know about it. And once again, it's probably more efficient. I'm not going to deny that. But it's intrusive, and it's also a system of control. And that's what this all leads to. The devil, through the beast, is going to control the world. So you're going to have your health care monitored. Now, the problem with carrying a card, like your driver's license, is pretty simple, that you can lose your driver's license. I've lost a driver's license before. I've lost a debit card before, which was very scary. So we've got to come up with a way to make it impossible to lose your identification. What's the number one crime in the world right now? Identity theft. You know, people can open up a credit card in your name when you're 3 years old. Steal your social security number. So we've got to come up with a way to combat that, a way to get around that. So what they're coming to now, excuse me, man, I'm struggling, is an implantable chip, an RFID chip that will go inside your body. Contains all your information. I got an atomic fireball here in my pocket. I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna be on fire, but it might coat my throat. So Brother Jim was able to give me these. Just some information on some different things we're doing with RFID chips in the human body. Now these things are small. They're not going to be intrusive. Everything technology gets smaller. The first IBM computer filled an entire room and had less computing power than my smartphone. Everything gets small. The RFID chip they're going to plan on implanting in the human body very soon is right now the size of a grain of rice, which is dinky. You're not even going to notice. Go ahead, Pastor.
Just wanted to mention, you're talking about the invasiveness of our privacy. Just last week, your brother was telling me that he had forgotten about an appointment that Melody had at the doctor's office. And he was trying to get hold of her because she was there. She had her cell phone turned off. And, you know, he's a computer whiz anyway. That's what he does for a living. And they have the kind of phone, he was able to locate exactly where she was at through his telephone. I don't know exactly how he did that. He said, after she had her phone off and couldn't get a hold of her, he was worried about her. And he located her at the doctor's office. And then he realized that she was there for an appointment with the kids, and he had forgotten, didn't know where she was at. So the thing about this, folks, is like Tim's been saying, it is so wonderful, it has so many advantages that you don't have to sell it to society. We're standing in line to buy. So there won't be a resistance of much measure to the mark of the beast. There won't be. People will line up to receive it because of the advantages that it offers.
It's convenience. We live in a convenient society. Do you guys remember the Visa debit card commercials that were running a few years ago? They had a little musical thing, and everybody's dancing and singing and swiping their cards. And then there was the one old guy that he pulled out a checkbook, and everything came to the crushing halt. We're a convenient society. This is convenient, and it's going to be unobtrusive, the size of a grain of rice. Now, a grain of rice is pretty small. But this grain of rice will contain everything about you. Your social security number, your driver's license number, any medical issues you have. And the idea is, okay, I'm walking down the street, I fall over and have a heart attack. call the paramedics. I don't have my ID on. They just scan my hand or wherever the implant is, and they can pull all my information up. Go ahead, Josh.
I saw where a guy stole a fellow's telephone, or his cell phone. And so he got his friend, he got in the car, and he had his cell phone, had GPS. So he followed him down the street, beat him up, and took his cell phone.
Oh. Patty?
How about, I don't know if it was a cartoon or it was a video or something I saw, but, you know, let's say we get this nice little chip, or we get this. Okay, so you have heart disease, and you have high blood pressure, and you also have certain, well, pretty soon, isn't it convenient to tell me what I should and shouldn't have to eat?
Oh, and that will happen. that will happen.
Trying to do that already.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's all control, and you got to understand it's control. I mentioned this last week. You know, when we come to church, when we worship God, that is a voluntary thing. God is a God of love. God is all power. God is righteous. But God created man with a free will because he wants our worship. He wants our love to be our choice. The devil, if you remember, as we talked about a few weeks ago when we were talking about in chapter 12, he wanted to be worshipped. That's the reason he rebelled. That's the reason that Lucifer became Satan. He said, I will ascend to the throne of God. I will be as the Most High. He craves worship. When he was tempting Jesus in the wilderness, remember, he showed him the kingdoms of the world. He said, all of these will I give thee if you will bow down and worship me. Anything that God has, the devil wants to take or mimic. Because the devil's nature is a destroyer, because he is destructive by his very being, he knows the only way to be worshipped is to be, for most people, is they're going to have to be compelled. Okay? They're going to have to force this worship on people. And this mark of the beast is part of that worship system. It is going to be the way that he forces people to acknowledge his lordship over the earth. Because you cannot buy, sell, you can't go to the doctor, you can't get gas for your car, they won't turn your electric on without the mark. Now, how do we get there from here? It's really simple. In Texas, in my opinion, if God didn't have me in Ohio, Texas is where I'd probably be because it's the freest state in the union. But in the state of Texas, there was a young lady in junior high. It talks about it in these articles. And like I said, if you want to look at these, feel more than free. The books belong to Tony, so if you want to look those, you'll have to talk to him. But Jim gave me these articles. This teenager in Texas, she was expelled from school because she refused to wear her student ID. Now, student IDs are prevalent. Her student ID, though, has an RFID chip in it. The reason the student IDs at this particular school had RFID chips in it is because they could track the movements of the student. You know, back in my day, you'd get a hall pass. Teacher, I go to the bathroom, you get a hall pass, I give you a hall pass, you go to the bathroom. They don't do that anymore. There's no hall passes anymore. You just go to the bathroom. They don't come back in 5 minutes. They buzz the office. Can you locate so-and-so? Make sure they're still on the premises. Brother Bill talked to us last week about his job. How if he doesn't have his RFID tag on, he cannot enter the building. He gets trapped in this little hallway until someone verifies his ID. So we're already moving to that. You know? So it's just going to be one more step. Okay, if we can control you at school or we can control you at work, we might as well be able to control you in your home. It's for your own safety. It's for your own good. You know? So the technology's there. The will is going to be there. There's going to be a strong delusion sin. If you remember last week we talked about they deceived the people on the earth with great wonders, and they caused fire to come down from heaven. And they caused this image that they set up in the temple, this image of the beast, to have life. There's going to be the resurrection of the first beast. The Antichrist is going to have the deadly wound, and it's going to rise again. There's going to be a great delusion. So there's going to be a fanatical religious devotion to these two anyway, but there's also always going to be those people that resist, like we talked about last week, that are going to have to be compelled. So the compulsion is going to be worldwide. And folks, we talked about all this to say this. We are here. Go ahead, Brother Jim.
Yeah, right now they have RFID, not RFID, just regular chips that can control your behavior and can shut off your memory. And so there's a lot of things going on that the public doesn't know about, but it's happening at a fast rate speed. What they're doing is setting you up for the real chip. And I saw also last year, December, November last year, a article on food stamps. You're not allowed to get it unless you've got the chip. So it's coming.
And it's all going to be in the name of safety, health, and welfare, because that's all you hear. If you turn on the news right now, everything's fighting political. You got one side saying, you can't do that because of the Constitution. You got the other side, this is public welfare. Public welfare is going to be the key, because public welfare is going to trump everything else. It's just the way it is. Not enough people care about providing for themselves and take care of themselves if they got somebody that can do it for them. We live in a very, very dependent society today. It's not the society we had 50 years ago. 50 years ago, people wanted to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and make something of themselves in the world. The generation coming up now thinks the world owes them something. And when you get a society that is dependent on someone else providing for them, when you provide the machine to do it, they're going to do it. They're going to accept it. Pastor, and then somebody else.
I just wanted to quickly mention, just a couple of weeks ago, in this vein, there was some problems because someone hacked into a family's computer and was actually watching what they were doing in the home through the little camera that is on the computer. So the moral of that, and that is a fact, so the moral of that story is this: you better not have your computer lid open or your little camera thing can pick up what you're doing, because there's a lot of weirdos in the world. We're filled up with a devil crowd today, and they'll be watching you as you have your morning breakfast. Amen.
I got Josh and then Tony, and then we'll close.
We've been kind of set up for this since World War II, because it's Jewish people, Jewish population, Mark.
Yep.
All the Jewish population, that ended. That's why 100% of all the gas chambers are now. And in today's society, that's easily acceptable because there's a tattoo parlor on every corner. It'll be easy to get everybody to get one. It'll be convenient.
Yeah. It'll be convenient. You got that exactly right. Go ahead, Tony.
The other day, George W. Bush was having his whole life gone through. Somebody broke into their accounts and that, and they were going through all his emails and everything.
That would be a boring computer to hack, I think, myself. But
One more back here, Cliff.
go ahead, Cliff. Then I got Roger here real quick too. Whichever one you guys want to go first. Go ahead.
I want to know about when you go into a store, not to shop, but they don't pay for it. When they start out that door, that beeper goes off. We're going to be set up on the same thing, right?
Oh, that's I don't know if that's going to be the same technology, but they're going to be able to track you. Like I said, you're not going to be able to buy yourself. You're going to be a fugitive. You're not going to be able to go to the hospital. You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store. You're not going to be able to, you won't be able to have a job. The people who do not accept this mark in the tribulation are going to be fugitives from the law. They're going to be hunted down. And if they do not receive this mark, the Bible says that they're going to have their heads cut off. There's going to be execution. The devil is a destroyer. He doesn't want freedom. Christ came to bring us freedom. The devil brings us bondage. Go ahead, Cliff, and then we need to close.
I just want to mention, saw an article the other day where they were talking about this identification thing. They used to use fingerprints, and we've got beyond all that. But they say now they've got machines that look at your eyes, and your eyes tell them more about you than your fingerprints and that.
Retina scans.
So I have more information in it that they can, I don't know how they're gonna get a database on it, but that's one way of, identifying people that's through the eye. You remember, if I'm not mistaken, after 911 took place, the Super Bowl after that, worried about the terrorists and that still, being active. They had eye scanners at the Super Bowl to check the people. They were wondering how they would run first, how they would take care of all these thousands and thousands of people and get them through the turnstiles and all these things. They had eye scanners at the Super Bowl after 911.
It's here. Go ahead, Joyce, and then we'll pray.
I think that's why Facebook was created, so they can all about how we think and all the Christians. That's how they'll find us Christians.
Well, it's part of it. It's part of the machine. But like I said, let me just close saying this. We as Christians, this stuff's interesting. It's kind of scary to see how the devil has brought it all together. And there's much more we could talk about, but I don't want to extend this out because the bottom line is, guys, if we are a born-again person, we're not going to have to face this. We are going to be gone before this gets here. And the reason we're talking about it is because it's the Bible, but it's also this. We have friends and family that are lost. And they will face this if they don't come to Christ. So if this scares you, which it should, maybe you ought to be a little more committed to reaching your friends and family.
That's the message right there.
Sometimes you have to scare people to heaven. That's how I was scared to go to hell, so I decided I wanted to go to heaven. And Jude says we have to pull some from the fire if we have to. But this should cause us to be more evangelistic. This should cause us to care more. But next week we'll talk about the parallels with Daniel. We'll talk about the kingdoms and how that sets up the Antichrist kingdom. And that's the last week we're going to spend on chapter 13. Then we're going to move on to chapter 14. I do appreciate the insights and the comments. It does bring a lot. If you want to borrow this stuff that Brother Jim got for me, you can get it from me. We'll give Tony his books back if there's something that Tony has. Tony's a wealth of resource on the end times. Me and Tony's had a few chats. He's done a lot of study on it, so Tony could be a good resource too. So.